Good morning and welcome to today's devotional thought. I'm coming to you from in front of our rather large TV to remember a time when I was a kid, when I was watching some TV shows. Maybe you heard it before. When there's a police investigative show or something, and there's an interview going on with somebody that maybe will be it a police investigator or a reporter, and the person says, "Now, what I'm going to say is off the record. It's strictly off the record." Well, as a kid, I didn't know what that meant. And so you had to learn by the context of what that meant. It meant, well, you know what that means if you watched enough TV. But usually what followed when the person said that was some of the most interesting, some of the heart of the issue of what was either being talked about or investigated or whatever. So whenever they said, "This is off the record," that's when your ears kind of perked up. But today, in the society that we live in, our words are really important. There's hardly anything that's off the record. I mean, we see in today's society, we see people losing their jobs over things that they post on social media or things that they have said. We see the media that will twist what one person says to accommodate what they want, to accommodate their overall goals. We live in a society where we have to be really, really careful with what we say, where hardly anything is off the record. So we have to be guarded. We have to be guarded on what we say and what we put out there, and what comes out of our mouths. Thankfully, it's not that way in prayer. We can pray strictly off the record without fear of what people are going to say or think. This reminds me of the story in 1 Samuel, when Hannah, who was Samuel's mother, came to the Lord, the house of the Lord, to pray. She was, as the story unfolds, she was unable to have children. So she went to the house of the Lord to pray. And when she was there, it says in 1 Samuel 1:9-10, so Hannah arose after they had finished eating and drinking in Shiloh. Now Eli the priest was sitting on the seat by the doorpost of the tabernacle of the Lord. And she was in bitterness of soul and prayed to the Lord and wept in anguish. Now, if you know the story, Eli was watching her and thought that she was drunk, and actually would go and reprimand her for being drunk. Well, she said she wasn't drunk, that she was a woman of sorrowful spirit. So Eli, tripping over his words in apology, tells her that she can go home, that her prayer has been answered, or God has heard her prayer and her request will be answered. And the result of this was that she bore a son and named him Samuel. She was praying off the record. Paul talks about praying off the record too. He says, when he's talking about a thorn in his flesh, he said, 3 times I went before the Lord and pleaded with the Lord that this be removed. And the Lord's famous response is, "My grace is sufficient for you." But also he wrote to the Roman church in Romans 8:26. He says, 8:26 says, "Likewise, the Spirit also helps us in our weakness, for we do not know what we should pray as we ought, but the Spirit himself makes intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered." And now in verse 27, this was 26 and 27. "Now he who searches the hearts knows the mind of the Spirit, because he makes intercession for the saints according to the will of God." So the Spirit, it knows our hearts. The Spirit's making intercession. And you can't speak about prayer and pouring out your heart without thinking of David in the Psalms. And in Psalm 142, verse 2, he says, "I pour out my complaint before him. I declare before him my trouble." So as we think of prayer, as we go into our rooms, we close the door, we wake up early before anybody's in the house is awake, or we're in the middle of the night and we're praying quietly. We don't have to worry about what people hear. We don't have to worry about our words coming out all wrong or jumbled up. because we're praying off the record. And we know that he hears us. He knows not just our words, but that he understands the heart behind the prayer. So may this encourage you as you pray to him this day. God bless.